Hey, what's up? I'm Robert Smetana, and today I want to explain why dermatologists oftentimes don't recommend dietary measures to treat acne, or why they're even oftentimes rather dismissive about the idea that diet affects acne at all. Now, I'm not saying that all dermatologists would think that way or advise that way, but it is an experience that I've made several times, and from what I've heard in conversations with other patients and read on acne forums and blogs, etc., it seems to be an experience that many patients have made. Now, why might that be the case? Now, first off, we might ask ourselves, well, perhaps diet simply doesn't affect acne, so it's a perfectly reasonable advice to give. But I'm strongly convinced that the current state of scientific research very clearly shows that there is a connection between diet and acne, and that it is very likely that most patients would benefit very strongly oftentimes from dietary treatments. Now, why would dermatologists think differently or still not advise dietary measures? I think there are two main reasons here. The first reason is that dermatologists, like most medical doctors in most countries and most universities, simply don't learn a lot about nutritional sciences. Oftentimes there's not a single course in the entire curriculum on nutritional sciences. So it's no wonder that medical doctors would oftentimes not know about dietary prevention and treatment of diseases, be it acne or heart disease or diabetes or whatever it is. Now, the second reason is a little more complicated, and that is that the scientific evidence for nutritional treatments is oftentimes not as high as it is for other pharmaceutical treatments. And now, again, you might be thinking, well, maybe it's a good thing then that they don't recommend dietary treatments, but I would strongly suggest otherwise. So the reason why the evidence for pharmaceutical treatments is and has to be higher is that the potential side effects of pharmaceuticals are much higher than the potential side effects of a healthy diet. So you have to be very rigorous in the analysis of a new pharmaceutical to be sure that the benefits outweigh the risks. However, with dietary treatments, when it's simply about a healthy diet, there are practically no negative health side effects. And so the benefits to risk ratio is completely different. So we might not need the same amount of scrutiny and strong evidence to say, maybe it's worth it taking a shot with this dietary measure, even though the studies are not as large and as sophisticated as with the pharmaceuticals, because if it doesn't work, well, what's the worst thing that can happen? Maybe you feel a little better overall, maybe you lose a little bit of weight, maybe your insulin sensitivity improves. So there are only positive side effects there. So that's regarding the necessity for those very large and sophisticated trials. And then there's also a reason, or another reason, why they're not being done, and that is simply that they cost a lot of money. And getting that money for a new pharmaceutical is much easier than getting that money for a dietary treatment. Now, when a company develops a new pharmaceutical, they can oftentimes patent it, and then the investment of making those very large, elaborate studies is a reasonable one, because due to the patent, you will get back that money if the pharmaceutical is effective, and you can bring it to market. Now, with dietary measures, you can't patent a diet. You can't patent fruits and vegetables. Well, for the most part, and that's a good thing. So it simply isn't a reasonable investment for a pharmaceutical company to put up that amount of money to make such elaborate large studies. But again, I don't think they're necessary. But for someone who is used to that level of scrutiny when it comes to choosing treatments, this dietary treatment might simply not be on the radar, because the studies that have been done on dietary treatments are not on the same level as for the pharmaceuticals. Now, I hope this gives you some clarity and some idea what might be behind those comments that you might also have gotten from your dermatologist along the lines of, oh no, don't worry about your diet, it doesn't have anything to do with your acne. It's not mean-spirited. Most dermatologists, like most doctors, only have your best health in mind, but simply might be oblivious of some research in fields that they haven't been educated about, and might, for the reason that we've discussed, simply don't have those dietary treatments on the radar. In those cases, I think an open, honest understanding conversation can be helpful. Maybe you can hint them at some of the research that I show or other good sources show. I think if those things are brought forward respectfully, there's always benefit in it, and maybe we can all increase the awareness of diet in the relation to acne and other diseases in general. Thank you so much. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.